I'm Gloria Rinaman. I came here in 1960 with my husband, who was a new graduate at the University of Florida Law School. I never expected to live here, but he got a very good position here, and he said, we'll go up there for a year or so, and I'll learn how to try lawsuits. So here we came with a youngster about 8 months old. And
Ever been to Jacksonville before?
I had been to Jacksonville once or twice to come to a swimming meet, so I didn't really see very much of Jacksonville. We just came up and went back home.
And when you got here, or in the process along the way, you discovered some real negatives about Jacksonville.
I had taught school, and I was quite familiar with the schools in Tampa and Orlando and our homes. And the first thing I found out when I got here was that the schools were disaccredited, and almost everything I found here, I thought, why am I here? And I am not staying here and raising a family. And I begged Jim to just leave, and he said, well, wait another year and let me have one more year. And I said, okay. And so one thing after another, but the air was so polluted that it burned your eyes. The raw sewage was flowing out of every building, including the hospitals, into the river. The infrastructure was old and rotten. A fire truck fell into the stormwater drainage right down near the Ritz Theater in the middle of town. And of course, the schools being disaccredited was primary to me, because we were planning to have a family and raise them wherever we were.
So you put up with us for quite a while. It wasn't just a year.
Well,
before something started happening.
Another year went by and another year. What happened was, I think we had reached bottom, or the city had. We had not. We came in as the city reached its bottom. And everyone was upset about all of the different things that were going wrong here. I mean, they had come from other places. They knew how things should be, and we all knew that it could be better, or at least all of us who came from somewhere else knew it. And so I think there was a discontent, a general discontent with the way everything was, and that it all needed to just be stopped and cleaned up and started over again and sent on its way in a new direction. That's the way I felt, but we had no power. We were brand new, and I just wanted to leave.
And when Consolidation started coming together as an idea, you were very pleased, I guess.
I was. I understood the motives behind it, and I had a very good friend, Eddie Mae Stewart, who was very involved and was very much in favor and became president of the NAACP. And we used to talk a lot about all the problems that there were. And, you know, I think there was a general discontent until, especially about the schools. When we bought a house, we moved into the neighborhood that I knew the school principal. I had interned with her. And I thought, I'm moving into your school district because I knew she would have a good school. I didn't know about the rest of the county. And it dictated a lot what we did and where we lived. So. And
that was a kind of a separate issue, disaccredited schools, and it was being addressed in a kind of a separate track.
Yes, it was.
But it did get done almost at the same time.
Yes.
And that was a really important step.
Well, they were also having very ferocious race riots in the middle of town. There had been this type of thing up in Georgia, I believe, and we were brand new and totally unprepared for this. And Jim would call me up and say, there are people chasing each other up and down the streets down here with baseball bats, and and they'd go around a corner and then they would come back, and I said, we need to go home. because we don't have this at home.
Home being Tampa.
Tampa, and a little suburb of Tampa.
Yeah.
And I thought, how can this be? But along about that time, Martin Luther King, somewhere along the way, began to talk about change, a peaceful change. And I think that that probably saved lives and turned the direction of the city.
It's important to put this in context. Jacksonville had all kinds of problems going on, and it also had civil rights issues going on.
Exactly. And
Like
peaceful change to the civil rights problems was the message that I think people got, and I think consolidated government was one of the results of that.
And when it came together as a proposal to be voted on in August 1967, you were actively involved in building
Oh yes,
support.
as far as we could, I could figure out a way to work with it, I did. I can't say specifically what I did, but I was all involved with it and with the people that were doing it. I was very involved with my family at the time as well.
Yeah.
So,
Well, any other thoughts, anecdotes along the way that?
well, I think that because we were the bold new city of the South and had that reputation, and I know Jim went everywhere to explain to cities that wanted to do the same thing how we did it and what we did. But I think that that was such a positive change that I became content to stay in Jacksonville, and my children went to accredited schools. The race situation solved itself gradually with a lot of work on from every angle, government and private citizens. The city's infrastructure was addressed. There were several, Sally Mathis, Mary Singleton, Earl Johnson, and there was a fourth person, I think. I think every part of the city and the population became represented in the government, which was basic to fixing it. Everyone was into fixing it, and so it was just sort of like an aura that you stepped into, that we were all on the same sheet of music, and we were all wanted something better to live with and to be part of.
If voters had said no in August '67, you might have gone back to Tampa for
I
sure.
probably would have. At the time, many people did not think there was any possibility that it would pass. There was a young man who became a famous pollster, and I can't recall his name at the moment. He was in high school over at the Catholic school just down the street. And he did a poll that was exactly on target. And nobody would have dreamed that, but that's why he became a famous pollster. So anyway, it was a surprise in many ways, very, very good surprise.